Alright, so here's a headline that probably made you do a double take. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson just accused the highest court in the land, yep, the Supreme Court itself, of playing Calvinball for Donald Trump. Okay, let's break this down. First off, what in the world is Calvinball? If you're not a fan of the old-school comic strip Calvin and Hobbes, here's the gist. Calvinball is a made-up game where the rules change all the time, usually to help Calvin win. The only real rule is, there are no consistent rules. Total chaos, but that's kind of the point. So when Justice Jackson accuses the Supreme Court of playing Calvinball, she's saying, hey, you guys are just making up the rules as you go along, especially when it's about Trump. And that's a big deal. Now, the actual case at the center of all this is about presidential immunity. Basically, Trump's lawyers argued that a president can't be prosecuted for official acts while in office. The Supreme Court, with its conservative majority, seemed to agree, at least in part. But here's where things get wild. The court didn't just say, here's the rule and we'll apply it. Instead, it set up a whole new way of looking at presidential power, one that critics say bends over backwards to help Trump. The rules suddenly got fuzzy, confusing, and hard to follow, kind of like, well, Calvinball. Justice Jackson, in her dissent, basically called out the majority, saying, you're twisting the playbook for one player. She argued that, by not having clear, consistent rules, the court is undermining its own authority and making it look like it's playing favorites. And let's be real, the timing couldn't be more tense. This is about a former president facing criminal charges during a heated election season. What's wild is that Jackson isn't just venting. She's warning that if the court keeps making exceptions, changing how the rules work depending on who's involved, it could break public trust, maybe for good. Because if the rules don't apply to everyone, do they really mean anything at all? So why does this matter to you? Well, the Supreme Court is supposed to be the final word on justice in America. If the public starts thinking it's just winging it, especially for the powerful, that's a huge problem. Justice Jackson's Calvinball comment isn't just shade, it's a wake-up call. So the next time you hear about Calvinball in the news, know that it's more than a comic strip joke. It's a sharp critique of how the rules are being made and who they're being made for. And that's something we all need to pay attention to. Thanks for watching. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Calvinball =, rules that change to favor one player. Jackson says the court's decisions look like favoritism, and that has real consequences for public trust and our democracy. Justice Jackson framed this not as politics, but as institutional survival. Clear rules, she warns, are the backbone of fairness. So when headlines drop the phrase Calvinball, remember the deeper critique. Share this with someone who wants a clear take on why this matters. We'll keep unpacking big stories like this. See you next time.